Most congressmen and senators are very pro our cause. I mean, it's not just our cause, but it's been a grassroots thing to get these crimes out of the military. I'm very fortunate in New Hampshire to have Annie Custer as my congresswoman. She calls me, she lets me know what she has been doing. We're going to be having a conference in a couple of months, to work more on these matters, not only to help those who are in the military right now, but to also help veterans who have been victims and have PTSD that truly need to work to become as effective individuals as they can again and heal. So we're very fortunate to, in our situations. There are many other senators that are not as friendly and think it's just a woman's crime. And I really want to bring that up.
Thank you.
Because you will be shocked that only 44% of these numbers are against women.
Wow. Wow.
The majority is against men, and that says so much about the fact that this is rape is a crime of power, of violence. It has nothing to do with the gender. And it makes it even more insidious that this is, it's not only men against men on men, but in many cases, these men are feeling so much more shame, so much more gender issues about, am I gay? Why wasn't I strong enough, to prevent this? And that there's a lot of injuries that have been caused to them that are profoundly different than with a woman. Not that any of these injuries that happen to you are any better or any worse, it's just the way that they are. And I will say for both men and women, it is a crime that affects your soul.
Well put. Well put, Judy. It makes so little sense to me. If I'm a commander, if I'm a citizen, if I am a congressman, senator, president, what have you, who would be against? And when you say you get the friction or the pushback from some, I mean, you're more than welcome to name their names. That's fine with me. We have no issues with that. Who are your roadblocks out there in the government? I mean, people see us online. They could be from any one of the 50 states. With social networking, the limits are boundless. Who are these people, and how do we help that out?
Two things, and another great lead-in based on what Judy said. Like she said, more than half of the victims are men. It goes to show that it's a predator issue. This is not about women. So some of the pushback we do get from society is, well, this is why women shouldn't join the military. This is not about women at all. We're maybe to a predator because we have smaller numbers, and if we're the weakest link, then that's what they're going to go for.
That's what you exploit, right?
Right, that's what you exploit, because that's how these guys work. And that's why we don't want the commanders involved, because they don't necessarily understand the MO of a predator. We want a professional that does understand that MO and how they go about doing things.
Right.
And so that's one pushback. The other pushback is from the military leadership themselves, especially Martin Dempsey and General Ray Odierno. And I think part of the reason that those two are pushing back so hard out of all the Joint Chiefs is because the Army has the highest number of non-combat deaths of women and men. Of the women, the majority of the women, I would say at least 50% of the non-combat deaths overseas in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kuwait involved some sort of military sexual trauma prior or during, the crime.
Right.
And all of these cases are under investigation for infinity. The parents are not getting any answers. So on top of us having, our military being harmed by these inside enemies. These same people are abusing their wives, abusing their children. Who knows who they're abusing in your community? So once it actually gets out
no,
there.
you're absolutely right. I mean, I look at the 200 that were acquitted or dismissed. I mean, that's a very small spot. I mean, when you look at thousands and thousands of cases and only a few hundred, you don't obviously have a lot of false accusations, and I'm sure you have some. I mean, reality is always going to be reality. But by and large, there's a systemic problem with the way that it's run. And I understand it's a military and it's got to run the way it's got to run. Personally, I don't care who is in the military. What I care about is, can you keep me safe? Do you have what it takes that maybe I don't have because I'm not there, but do you have what it takes? And I don't care if you're a man, a woman, if you're gay, if it's irrelevant, because I need the job to get done, right? I need the job to get done. America needs a job to get done.
That's what we want.
So it amazes me, and we have some of the Joint Chiefs that are pushing back. What about people that we as citizens can have a little more effect on?
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now with the Military Justice Improvement Act. It just got shot down in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee in early June. I think it was June 14th, and the person that shut it down was Senator Carl Levin, a Democrat of all people. Yes. I would have thought, just based on the way I've seen things kind of operate within Congress, that it would have been a Republican to show up to hold us up. But in fact, the Tea Party conservatives have just stepped forward to support Senator Gillibrand's Military Justice Improvement Act, which goes back to what you were saying earlier, that it's about constitutional rights. It's about one person, a commander, should not be the judge, jury, and executioner of any crimes.
It's too much responsibility, especially when that commander, his first priority, to your point, needs to be keeping, and I say me, when I say me, I mean everybody, keeping me safe. That's what you need to be worried about, not, am I going to decide this, or it weighs too much on the head.
Exactly.
So Carl Levin shuts this thing down.
Yes.
And now we're trying to reinvigorate it, but we have to go back through him, is that correct? Eventually we have to sit back with him.
Yes, they're building momentum currently, and the fact that Senator Rand Paul and Chuck Grassley and Ted Cruz, all Republicans and known in the conservative world to be pretty effective leaders as well, the fact that they jumped on board to support a Democratic bipartisan bill, to me is absolutely fascinating because they get it.
Jennifer, who sponsors this bill?
Senator Gillibrand, Democratic out of New York.
So we've got Democrats, we've got Republicans, right, on two different sides. And everybody that is watching this right now, they all know my politics. We don't even have to get into that for 30 seconds. Does it surprise me? No, it doesn't surprise me because, they can't pass a budget. They can't really get anything done. But this is something that I'm happy to see that there is some support from both sides on. But Carl Levin, this is where, folks, when you see the program, you call your senator, you call your congressman, make sure they're aware that this exists, that the bill is out there, the Military Justice Improvement Act, and then you pick up the phone and you call Carl Levin's office. And hopefully it's busy because everybody else is trying to call, but you'll keep calling. And,
it has been busy many times.
You get through to them.
When I called.
And you tell them
Yes.
how you feel. I don't care if you can't vote for Carl Levin. Who cares? It doesn't matter. These people represent the United States, and they need a kick in the butt sometimes, right?
Yes.
So,
Claire McCaskill, too, out of Missouri. It'd be very beneficial to give her a buzz as well. Right now, she's proposing that maybe she'll think about this radical reform in 5 years.
So why is it radical to want? This is where I get the disconnect, and this is where people sometimes, I guess, they don't know where I'm going to come out an issue. But,
right.
Where does anybody have the idea that assault and battery, murder, rape, robbery, any of these kind of crimes, right? The military isn't exempt from enforcing the law. There's no, like I always say, there should be no special law for the congressman. There should be no special laws for senators or for presidents. Nothing that they have should supersede anything that the people have.
That's right.
So why does the military have a system that doesn't allow the people within it to, I mean, it's a constitutional issue. You know, just because your job is a military person doesn't mean you don't have the same right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and these kind of things. As a matter of fact, it should probably matter more, not less. It should probably swing the other way.
I think another issue that when we talk about taking all of these crimes out of the chain of command, people are very concerned that UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is how the military does all of their laws, is that it will affect the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Now, it brings up to mind that in the rest of the world, Britain, and I can't think of the other countries, Israel, and there's a few, Canada, they do not have these crimes in their chain of command, meaning that if these crimes are committed, your commander is not the person you report to. You report to the police or the police equivalent that's in the military, and that's how it should be. We need to have experts who can, get the evidence and have lawyers who can prosecute, as well as what's even more important is these victims are not, let's just say prosecuted by or interrogated to why they keep on forgetting what how their crime happened, because when you are a victim of rape, you don't remember it correctly, and that's because your brain is the one that's trying to protect you, and some things come in pieces, and it's like if you don't say it the right way the first time or the second time, it's because how you're remembering it, because what post-traumatic stress is how you react to a very violent incident, and it's a way of protecting yourself. Unfortunately, as people continue to have these issues happen to them, and they're not able to have these types of prosecution, the PTSD becomes extremely chronic. Your brain, the neurological impulses and everything changes. I won't go into that as a nurse completely, but it is not just up here. It affects your entire body. Your nerves are racked. You can't remember. Your hippocampus changes things so that your memory is protected so that you can survive, because you are afraid for your life in many situations.
You know,
Well said.
I can't imagine that anything that Jennifer, Judy, the Rape Crisis Center, the bill, the Military Justice Improvement Act, weakens the military at all. It doesn't make sense, and the reason it doesn't make sense is because it would be stronger for the military. I believe that they would have a better shot of not having to worry about X and Y, focus on Z, and that's running a military. I understand that the military needs autonomy. It does, and we can't know everything, because if we know everything, then everybody else knows everything. But, you know, we can certainly be as good, if not better, than anybody else. We have the tools, to make changes when we want them. So that's why we have to get involved when we see something like this. The citizens in America, you could probably count on two hands since the inception of this country where we have said, whoa, and got involved with the military and wanted to make clear policy type changes, like things like this. Because we've always accepted the fact that this is the military, they know what to do. Hey, look, what the hell, they got us this far. I mean, we're the greatest country on the planet. We enjoy economic status. When it's bad here, other countries would kill for our bad. Let's just face it, this is a wonderful, wonderful country. When we need to step in, though, we do. And this is one of those cases where we need to step in here. We as citizens need to say, hey, hang on a second. These are people that are volunteering to go into a military to keep us safe. That's what the two of you did. And to encounter an awful situation, you know what? We spoke before the show. It happens in private life. It's going to happen in public life. But how do we turn our backs and allow these kind of things to happen? To me, it's unacceptable, and it doesn't make the military weaker to have some kind of an independent body that maybe is part of the military, maybe it's not, but it's not that guy. It's not that person, that because it's going to make himself look bad. Why would you want to make yourself look bad? So that culture definitely needs to change. It really does need to change. You know, I think that you got to get on the website. It's a wonderful website. I spent 45, 55 minutes just on one of your story things, and I was like, oh, I really have to get more. I have to learn more about these people. But there's so much to read. There's so much to do. You could spend a day on this website, militaryrapecrisiscenter.org. It's very informative. You can hear stories from people, and some of those stories are gut-wrenching. They are certainly nothing short of just sensational wrong, and that's really what it is. Jennifer, you first. I know we have a special guest that we want to get on here, and as we slowly inch toward the end of our program, but I did want to give you ladies the last word, if you will, and take a couple of minutes and let people know what needs to happen for this to happen. What do they got to do?
What we need more than anything is exactly what you said earlier, for folks to get on the horn, social media, any way that you can, and get in touch with Senator Carl Levin and all the members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, if you really want to help us, and your own senators and your representatives. The more people in Congress that know that you support taking it out of the chain of command for the very reasons that our military members do, the more they're going to feel pressured to move along with what it feels like